Hello everybody, this is Panoramical. It came out a couple of days ago, and it's a toy for creating sound and music and video. Now if you have flashing light problems, put this video in the background somewhere. You can still listen, but don't watch. This is an interesting toy because it does a couple of things. It's interesting because it's fun to play with, but it's also interesting because it's very, very carefully designed, and you can learn a lot about how to present a hugely dense terrain space with only a very few number of widgets. First, I guess I'll just go ahead and show you how it works. This is only the first level, but I'm only going to show you the first level. So that's sort of like what it feels to play this game. Now, I'm not here to sell you this game. You already know whether you want it or not, because it's a very specific kind of thing. But I thought I would tell you a little bit more about how data is presented. This game has a very dense topology. That is, every level has its own set of tracks, and the tracks are extremely complex. Each track interacts with every other track in a different way. For example, you got this piano track. And this can be thought of as the primary melody track, and you just turn this on and you can hear it very nicely. But this piano track doesn't get along with absolutely every other track. I mean, it gets along fine with this guy, but it doesn't get along very well with this guy. So this track just turns it off, or rather, it takes it into a different place. There is still a piano playing, but it's taken out the melody component and now it's just playing backup. So this is a very complicated situation where you have a large number of interacting variables, and you, as the developer, know which ones can coexist and which ones can't, but you, as the player, don't. Similarly, there are a lot of music mixing programs out there, and normally these would be tracks, but in this case they're not. Each of these boxes in the lower left corner is a hotspot map of multiple tracks. Now it seems to be that they can program it however they want, and it's not as simple as one track per vertex or one track per axis. It can get quite complex. Moreover, sometimes it's not even a matter of where the hotspot is, it's a matter of whether or not you're moving the mouse. So this one down here gives off these sounds if you move the mouse, but it also has like an actual track. So this is what I would call a very dense terrain space. It's got a lot of different things that interact in a lot of ways, and your job is to make sure that the player can experience them. Make sure the player can go out and find all of the things they're interested in finding. This is something we struggle with a lot in game design. And this is a very elegant way to do it. You have a lot of different pieces, 9 independent pieces, and each one of those can be quite complex and can show different faces. And you automatically alter or mute other tracks from other pieces if you need to. And sometimes these hotspots, they can activate multiple tracks at once. Sometimes they can't, and it's just one track at a time. Every single one of these is a special piece of logic. But because the dev went out of their way to understand how each of them interacts, they've made it so that the song never really sounds bad, even if you just hammer everything all the way up. Well, that's a little bit bad. There's that farty guy. There we are. Now, if we want to talk about the backgrounds, they're just as complex as everything else. But I'm not going to talk about the backgrounds because I haven't really studied them at all. But I can tell you that this approach is a very interesting one from my perspective, and I'd like to see a lot more games that take the idea of having the dev actually do a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. Your experiences as a player, you want to be in control of what you're experiencing, but as a dev, you want to make sure that the player never experiences things that clash so badly that they get upset and quit. Therefore, if you allow the player to control their own experience in very tidy packages, then you might be able to mix and match those packages behind the scenes where the player can't see, and gently guide them towards an experience they like. Anyway, that's my thought on this game. I'll put a link down below, but you already know whether or not you want it. And that's it. Have a good one.